Let's continue taking a look to the opportunities available in the market with toolings, controls, and more stuff available for .NET MAUI from third parties. And today we're going to take a look to the free controls from DevExpress for .NET MAUI. The .NET community, and in particular the .NET MAUI community, is really nice. For a while, I have maintained this repository called Awesome.NET MAUI, which is a collection of a set of libraries, controls, tools, and information that can be useful when developing .NET MAUI applications. We have a huge list of plugins, libraries, controls, and tools, and we can just directly see information, useful information as the number of stars, the latest time that has been updated, etc. Recently, I also started a series of videos where I took some of these open source libraries and started to take a look at how it works, what offers, mostly giving visibility to the library and to the author. However, we also have many third-party libraries at a fairly reasonable price, or even as it happens today, that offers a really nice set of controls or tools for free. Today, we are going to talk about DevExpress. DevExpress offers a big set of free controls for .NET MAUI. Between all the controls, we can find, for example, collections controls to create lists, forms, or controls like charts to display data in a very visual way. Today, we're going to split this library in different parts to see what it offers. We are going to, of course, take a look to the sample. We can find the sample in different ways. We are going to see that later. And then we are going to take a look to the code, how we can include the library in our own applications, referencing the Nugget package, what is necessary to do, etc. All the steps necessary to part from know the library to finally use this library with all the controls in our own applications. As usually, we are going to start taking a look to a sample application. The sample application is included directly by DevExpress. This application is available both on Google Play and on the store, as well as it is available on TestFlight in the case of iOS. And all the code is also available on GitHub. It is very interesting source to be able to view the code, how to create, for example, a list with pull to refresh. So there are specific samples for each of the controls with all the options. And this is really quite interesting to be able to learn how to use the library, regardless of the documentation of, we will take a little look later. And in advance, I will tell you that the documentation is quite good, but the sample, it's really nice too. So we go back to our device where we have the application running. It's a home that exposes all the controls, and we'll start from the beginning to the end by starting taking a look to the collection view. The collection view or the list view is exactly what you imagine that is. It's a control to display a list. By default, we have a vertical listing. Also, the controls expose options for creating horizontal lists. We have options to do also pull to refresh. And we have options for infinity data loading, that is, once we reach the end, we can invoke a command to get more data and refresh the user interface. And then we have advanced case such as creating more complex cells, like cells with different aids. We have options to perform commands with swipe options to be able, for example, to remove cells, etc. Between the advanced options, we also have things like drag and drop gesture. For example, we can use drag and drop to create a list and rearrange priorities. Then we have a control that comes to cover a very interesting area, especially in desktop, where it is usual to see a big amount of data that it's a hierarchical structure. In this case, we are talking about the tree view control, very common at the time, for example, to managing a directory of files, with subfolders and see all the, hierarchy and options between the items. We can customize each of the items with different options. And another really interesting control, mostly really useful on desktop, is the data grid. The data grid is a control ideally designed to display high volume of data in a complex way with different columns, etc. This will be a bit of the basic operation, showing data in a form of data grid, of course, using multiple columns, etc. But we can apply different actions, like for example, we can filter, we can edit, and we can apply filters by, for example, priority, and we can just filter the data. We of course have options that we have seen before, like for example, access to swipe options. And the most interesting functionalities related with control using virtualization. So we are only rendering cells that appears on the screen, and we reuse cells to be and have the more optimal performance, and that's really important on desktop, but also mostly on mobile. Like the collection, we have more options, like for example the pull to refresh, and then we have more advanced options like the ability to create complex layout for every cell, cells with different aids, etc. And yeah, we have all the options to customize, headers, cells, and all the options. And that's really important to be able to adapt the control to every possible .NET MAUI application. The next thing important in the library is the set of chart controls. It's a visual element very important when displaying data, apart from basic options such as displaying graphics with bars, with different formats or lines. We have more complex charts such as financial, good graph, line with points or circles, etc. We also have advanced options to customize all the different elements of the chart, like the axis, vertical, horizontal, change, for example, the orientation of the text. We have options to create, templates and modify things like, for example, the legend, or, for example, use gradients or use anything necessary for our application. We can, of course, also create graphs with real-time update. We have selection options. We can also draw multiple axes, and we can also manage very, very, very huge amount of data sets. Okay, we are going to have a look to more interesting control. Another important one is the calendar, because we also don't have this one in the .NET MAUI core. It's another control useful for creating, for example, booking page, for example, in hotels or similar. We can manage the calendar with different views. For example, we have the day view, and of course we can see the month view, the agenda view. We have different options to manage, if we want to see the day, week, month, etc. And that's really, really useful. But of course, we can also customize every appointment with the different template, and we can create different customization options. Then we have a series of controls that have been called utility controls, and are controls that can be useful in combination with other elements. For example, we have a slide view control. We can do a slide horizontally, vertically, adding looping or not looping. At the end, it will remind you a little bit to the carousel control included in .NET MAUI. We have also these toolbar options, again, extremely useful, mostly on desktop. The gauge control with radial gauge. We have really interesting to display data. We have seen the charts, but it's really interesting to display data in some case. We can just render an indicator that the data is loading. We have controls with different, for example, checkposts, controls like the chips, which are these elements that we have right here, inherited from the Android user interface guidelines. Then we have a set of data editor controls. For example, we have controls to capture, for example, a selection of options, password, to obtain a day from a calendar, a numerical value, etc. Then we have here the equalizer that are a set of range slider and slider with, of course, different configuration modes to customize the appearance. We have more options, like for example, image editors. We can take pictures, access to the gallery, and then edit the picture. And we have a lot of controls related with capture data. We have already seen some of them to capture, for example, time. And yeah, there are a lot of customization options. For example, if we want to use corner radius, if we want, one of the edges rounder or not, whatever, if we want cut the borders or the background filled or not, or just draw the edge, etc. We have plenty of customization and error management options, which is quite interesting. Finally, related with the entry set of capture and data controls or form controls, we have the action shifts to date, data in a contextual way. We also have contextual menus to perform these actions in .NET MAUI, but this includes more options related with specific controls. For example, we have here an example in employee form that it's a mix of all the controls that we have seen before. From the application itself, we can access to the source code or the documentation and view, what's going on and what's happened with every control. So we can access directly to the DevExpress page, and right here we can click the button "Get it free" to obtain, a license to get access to the controls. What is happening is, well, in this case, I'm already registered, but I'm going to log out of my account, and in this case, if we go back and check this "Get it free," we have a simple form. We need to fill this form with, name, email, the typical data, and we will have later we will receive an email with this information that is mostly, the information and, the license that we need to use once we include the Nugget package source of DevExpress. So we need to go to Tools, Options, and then Nugget, and within Package Tools, we will press the Add button, as is well explained in the documentation. The documentation is well organized, structured in a simple way with a start, option, how to get started, etc. And then we have mostly one sections by every of the controls. In the getting started, we have some videos, and here we can see how to access to the Nugget Package Manager and directly add the URL that we get in the email, to get access to it. Once we added the URL, all we have to do is go and install the Nugget package. We have different packages. The packages are organized by control blocks. It's very interesting because in the case of wanting to use only one of the controls, for example, only having to use the collection view, it prevents us for increasing the application size, just including, for example, the code to use the tree view. In case we are not going to use it, it's not necessary. So we can see that the controls all start by DevExpress.maui dot and the name of the controls or the block of the controls. For example, we have all the editors controls inside DevExpress.maui dot editors. So all this package come from the source that we already added, which is, in my case is DevExpress.net MAUI. And once added, we have to, just press the install button as we do with regular, Nugget package. Once the package are added, the next thing that we need to do is go to the MAUI program class and use the Express extension methods. For each of the set of the controls that we are going to use in our applications, we need to include a different Nugget package, and we need to include a new line using initializing this set of controls. For example, we in this application are using all the controls, so we have, they use the Express charts, use the Express collections, use the Express controls, editors, etc. So in this sample, we are using all the controls. Finally, what we will have to do is go, for example, let's take a look to the collection view sample. Okay, let's go to analyze the code a little bit. So we see, for example, on the contacts view page that we have to use the DevExpress collection view, making use of the DevExpress DX namespace. The namespace DX is using the schemas.express.com/MAUI. We will add this namespace to our channel page, and once it's added, we can get access to the whole set of controls that we initialize it in the MAUI program. So let's take a look at how we can use, for example, the DevExpress collection view. It's pretty simple. It has basic properties like, for example, the item source or the item template that we can use a template or item template selector, of course. If we want to use, for example, a different template, we can use, for example, on Evian to use different templates based on if we are using a phone or if we are using, a tablet, for example. We have the orientation property, and if we want to use is pull to refresh, is pull to refresh enable to through, and then we have more properties like, for example, the is load more enable to through in case we want to invoke the load more command once we reach the end of the scroll. Then we have more advanced options. For example, here we have a collection view where we have item template right here, which is a template selector. We use the swipe container, which we have also seen earlier, that will allow us to do swipe actions. So we have some swipe actions here. We can manage this in case we tap, or also if we want to invoke a command. This will be a more or less how we can use the collection view control. Then we have more controls like, for example, chart. So we have the chart view that is the generic control. Then we have the series properties where we define how we are going to draw, the content of the chart. For example, in this case, we are going to use the line series to draw lines, and then we can get access for two things like, for example, the legend, where we have the legend type control. We have access to customize the axis, and we can customize the type of every axis. So we have more or less an idea how everything is working. Then let's take a look to another control, like, for example, the here, the tree view control. As you can see, all the DevExpress controls start by the DX, words. The tree view control, where the fundamental property are the item templates. Each item template use, a 3-node view And inside every Trinity view, we can customize some properties like the icon, like, you know, the the, the text. If we want some swipe actions, we are able to do it here too, etc, etc. Then, for example, we also have seen the schedule and the agenda control. The control is at the agenda view. We can customize if we want any specific view. For example, you know, if we want the month view, the day view that we have seen before in the application. The entry set of options use the data source property that is awaiting a set of appointments, and we can customize many of the things. Then, for example, let's take a look to other control. For example, the tab view, or we have a huge amount of controls here. For example, related with capture forms, sliders. I think that the slider will be a simple way to see. We have again the dex slider with the value property, and we can manage all the options of the controls directly with bindable properties. So at the end, what we need to do is add directly, you know, the NuGet package of the set of controls that we want to use, set and create the, you know, that the initialization of the control in the MAUI program class that we have seen here. Then we need to create the DevExpress namespace, and once we created the namespace, we can directly go to every of the page and create directly the control. All the documentation is really good, so if you want to know how to use any specific control, so for example, if you want to know how to use the shimmer view to, you know, indicate that the data is loading, you can get access to a video, and there is a specific piece of code that shows you how to use the basic properties, usually with next steps. The next steps usually are related with use more advanced options, writing data in more complex ways, or how to customize the appearance of the control. In this case, we can customize, you know, the animation, you know, the wave angle, opacity, etc. used by the controls. So here you can access to docs.devexpress.com MAUI to get access to all the documentation related with MAUI. At the end, I think it's a very interesting option. It offers a fairly large range of very good controls with a really nice documentation. If you want to see any of these particular controls in a more long videos, like for example in a UI challenge or similar, just let me know in the comments of the video, or also maybe we can take a look to other stuff like performance. Leave your feedback in the comments of the video. And we get to the end of the video. I hope that the content has been useful for you. If so, remember to like and also to subscribe to not miss notifications when new content is released. See you soon!